Mr. President, attorney-client privilege is alive and well, but there's an exception when the attorney might be involved in a crime or fraud.
It's part of a judicial process. We should let it work its way through.
Well, despite a lot of the day being taken up by the CEO of Facebook testifying on Capitol Hill, this is still a big story here in this town. And the president is weighing in on his personal attorney and the raid on his office and apartment or hotel room, tweeting, "Attorney-client privilege is dead," and a total witch hunt. Just a short time ago, Michael Cohen, that attorney, had a quote to CNN, quote, "I am unhappy to have my personal residence and office raided, but I will tell you that members of the FBI that conducted the search and seizure were all extremely professional, courteous, and respectful, and I thank them at the conclusion." You heard some of the pushback of this action. Here is Alan Dershowitz.
This is a very dangerous day today for lawyer-client relations. I deal with clients all the time. I tell them on my word of honor that what you tell me is sacrosanct. And now they say, just based on probable cause, even though this was cooperation with Cohen, they can burst into the office, grab all the computers, and then give it to another FBI agent and say, "You're the firewall."
Dershowitz is at the White House, we're told right now, had a meeting with President Trump and is apparently having dinner with him. Let's bring in our panel. Jonah Goldberg, senior editor at National Review, Mara Liasson, national political correspondent of National Public Radio, and Matthew Continetti, editor-in-chief of the Washington Free Beacon. Okay, Mara.
Well, this is an investigation that's getting awfully close to the president. I thought what was really interesting yesterday is you had some polite pushback from Republicans. You had Mitch McConnell saying the investigation should go forward. You had John Cornyn saying that Mueller's report should definitely be given to Congress, which is not required. You also had Chuck Grassley saying it would be suicide to talk about firing Mueller. And this comes after people who are talking to the president, outside advisors, are saying that he's as mad as he's ever been. And the idea of possibly firing Jeff Sessions is very, very live.
Sessions, Rosenstein.
Because that's the way you get rid of Mueller. Right.
Rosenstein, really?
Well, Rosenstein or Sessions. You have to either replace the Attorney General with someone who's not recused, fire Rod Rosenstein. That's the way you get rid of the special counsel.
You've heard all kinds of punditry, Jonah, about this is a move that's kind of tangential to the Russia investigation, designed to have the president do what he's potentially contemplating doing, and that is fire Mueller, and thereby make the case for obstruction of justice pretty clear.
Yeah, but the funny thing about this, or the weird thing about this, is that forget whether it's political suicide or all those things, it would be pointless to fire Mueller because Mueller is not doing the Michael Cohen investigation. He handed it off to the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, who is not working for Mueller. If you fired Mueller, that thing continues to go. The only way you get rid of that investigation is to fire the Trump-appointed interim director of the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Hold on one second. He recused himself.
Right. Oh, but you got to put somebody in there who will then kill this investigation. Politically, that is just, I mean, the optics of trying to make it all go away now, I just think are almost impossible. But maybe I'm wrong.
Matthew.
It's important to ask how President Trump found himself in this situation to begin with, and that was by firing James Comey. And after Comey's firing, Comey leaked the memos, which then led to the appointment of the special prosecutor. So now, if President Trump thinks he can fix the situation by firing the special prosecutor, it doesn't make much sense if the first firing led to only more problems for him.
Go ahead.
There's one situation where maybe he could do this if the Republicans hold on to the House of Representatives. Then maybe he could fire him. Because if he fired him now, it would help Democrats, I think, in the election. And if Democrats took over, even if Mueller was fired, they'd probably have him up testifying 7 days a week.
Donald Trump has been a disruptor to Washington. He has everybody reacting to his actions, with one exception, Robert Mueller. He's the other disruptor. And the two of them now in combat could lead to a very combustible situation.
Well, it's definitely combustible. Speaking of combustible, the decision on Syria, we're told, is imminent if it's not already been made, and that some action may be imminent. Here's the president today.
We're making a decision as to what we do with respect to the horrible attack that was made near Damascus, and it will be met forcefully.
We speak today and we see the suffering of the Syrian people. And me and the president, we see eye to eye that this matter has to stop immediately. We cannot tolerate with a war criminal. We cannot tolerate with someone who killed more than 500,000 of his own people. And this matter should end immediately.
They're meeting in the Oval Office with the Qatari emir, which you remember a short time ago, the President Mueller said that Qatar was responsible for supporting terrorism. So quite a turnabout here.
How fast things change in Trump world, whether it's in foreign policy or ex-advisors. Everything is pretty fluid and flexible, as he likes to say.
But we do think that there is likely some imminent action.
I think there is. And to me, the question is it going to be like what he did almost exactly a year ago, where he hit an airfield, didn't seem to deter them from using chemical weapons again? Is it going to be something more? Take out the Syrian Air Force? That would risk a confrontation with Russia. You know, what's he going to do that will actually have a deterrent effect? Because the last thing he did didn't work.
Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I think Donald Trump needs to do something. He didn't call it a red line, but by doing it the first time, he basically set a precedent that says, you know, if you're going to...
He did actually call it a red line the first time. He said there were a lot of red lines.
Oh, I guess that's right, yeah.
So, a lot of red lines.
My point is that it would be a loss of credibility for Donald Trump in the United States if he didn't do it now, and I think he's going to do it now, and he should do something now. What he does, I'm not sure. The real problem for me is Syria is just looking to be basically the Balkans of the 21st century with so many I mean, it's not even the Spanish Civil War anymore, which at least had two sides to it. The place is just a hot mess, and how we figure out a strategy about how to fix the place or do anything, or whether we should even try or at least minimize the damage, is very difficult to see. Russia feels like it is in their sphere of influence, and they have a lot more reputation and political capital invested in the place. And it's a thorny issue to figure out what we can do about it.
You know, Matthew, I've heard different pundits and different folks question whether this, in fact, was Syria who did this. I've talked to a number of officials who say they have pretty solid evidence and that they're going to be briefing as much as they can beyond the classified. You heard the president in the cabinet room saying, we have a good idea. This is probably going to happen.
I think so, and I think it's important for President Trump to understand that the logic of deterrence means that whatever action he takes will have to be larger than the action he took after the attack last year, which I do think deterred Assad for a time until he felt that the attention was no longer being paid. So the person to watch...
Donald Trump announced that we're going to pull out of Syria.
That's right. And the person to watch now, though, is Bolton, right, who's always been reluctant about involving us heavily in the Syrian civil war or changing the regime, but I do not think is averse to really kind of having the full might of the United States military raining down on the weaponry of Assad.
He's also not averse to shaking up the staff. We're told that Tom Bossert is leaving because John Bolton wants his own people there. If you take a look at the list of notable Trump administration resignations or firings, we are now up to the number of 31. Tom Bossert on the bottom right-hand corner there, Homeland Security Advisor being the latest.
Yeah, I don't think this is the same as Donald Trump firing someone. This is John Bolton, who, as the new National Security Advisor, gets to have his own people. He got rid of the spokesman for the National Security Council and now the Deputy National Security Advisor. He wants his own folks there, and he's going to get them.
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
Lot to cover.